Hello, my name is Miss Melissa, and I am a teaching artist in the PACE program with the Acadiana Center for the Arts in the Lafayette Parish School System in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today, we're going to be learning about geometric shapes by creating a really cool Cubist style drawing. So, first, you may be thinking, well, what are geometric shapes? You pretty much know what they are. Geometric comes from the word geometry, which has to do with angles. So the pictures behind me are your geometric shapes. The only two basic shapes that I'm missing is, I'll give you a hint, they're made with curvy lines. Very good. If you were thinking circles and ovals, I don't have a picture of those, but they are geometric shapes. I just wanted to show you geometric shapes that are made with straight lines today. So let's go over them really quick. This is you can say it with me, a triangle, a square, a rectangle, a trapezoid, and a rhombus. Now, a rhombus can also be called a diamond. It's pretty much the same thing. This is just a fancy word for diamond, and you could, turn it any way you want. So, now you already know that all of these shapes are made with straight lines, okay? So now I have a question for you. What is the difference between the triangle and these four shapes? Can you tell me? If you were thinking the triangle only has 3 sides and all of these shapes have 4 sides, you are correct. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these shapes have 4 sides. Now, since these 4 are very similar because they have 4 sides, how are they different? What is the main difference? Like, what's the difference between these? What makes these so different? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with this right here. These are straight lines that go in different what? Directions. Very good. So let's look at the square and the rectangle. The square and the rectangle is made up of lines that go in 2 different directions. And what are they? Very good. They're made with lines that go up and down and side to side. And we call these vertical. And then these are called what? Horizontal. Very good. Now, let's look at these two. The trapezoid and the rhombus. Notice the tops and bottoms of these are made with what type of lines? Very good. Horizontal. But do we see vertical lines in the trapezoid and the rhombus? Do we see this? No, we don't. We see what type of lines? The ones at a slant. They are called diagonal. Very good. So if you look here, okay, we have a diagonal line going this way and this way. And if it kept going, eventually it would crisscross, right? Now look at these two. Look at the rhombus. We have diagonal lines that go in the same direction, spaced apart. Now, are these ever going to crisscross? No. They're always going to stay apart from each other. So anytime you have 2 lines that are apart from each other, you can say that that is parallel. They're parallel. Just like if we look over here. Look at these vertical lines and these horizontal lines for both shapes. Are these 2 straight lines ever going to touch? No. Same thing here. So what does the square, the rectangle, and the rhombus have in common? They all have straight lines that are parallel. So we can call those a parallelogram. These 3 shapes are called, it sounds funny, you can say it with me, parallelogram. Is this a parallelogram? Is the trapezoid one? No, because eventually these 2 lines are going to touch. So that once you have 2 lines that intersect, we can do this together. We can intersect, they'll never become parallel. they can't. Parallel has to stay apart and never touch, kind of like a road, okay? So pretty neat, huh? So you may be thinking, well, why am I showing you all this? Because the style of art that I want you to create today deals with lots of geometric shapes and lots of angles within those shapes. So I have some behind me. Why don't we take a look at them together? You could see the different types of Cubist style art so you can make yours. So here are two examples of some prints made by famous artists that created artwork in the style of Cubism. So you may hear the word cube in Cubism. I will explain more of that in a minute, but just take a look at the artwork. Do you notice, obviously they're, the one on the left is gray, lots of grays, and the one on the right's real colorful, right? Do you notice something similar about them besides the colors being different? If you were thinking that you see lots of straight lines and geometric shapes, very good. Let me show you two more and we'll go back. Move down here. Okay, same thing. The one on the right this time has a lot of grays, and the one on the left is very colorful. So Cubism can be seen with colorful works or more muted works like black, white, and gray. Basically, this was an art movement that started in around like 1907 and ended at about 1920s. And there are two leading artists that really started this movement. One of them was Pablo Picasso. Now, he did a lot of really neat things in his art career. But here, the gray one right here, you see this is called Man with a Clarinet. This is his Cubist picture. You can kind of see there's a figure, it resembles a man, huh? And if I get up close, you can see pieces of an instrument, if you're familiar with the clarinet. Look at all these angles. Now, there was another guy, George Brock, and this is his work, very similar. He, as well as Picasso, also led this movement of Cubism. And this is called Woman with a Mandolin. Now, this was done in 1910. You can kind of see it resembles, can you see the hand and the arm? Kind of like a figure. And a mandolin is a type of instrument. Now, I have other two examples of artists as well. This is by Juan Gris. Now, do you recognize the man in this picture? You could see parts of his collar and his neck. Okay? Lots of artists created work in the Cubism style. And then here's someone called Fernand Léger, if I'm pronouncing that right. This is called Composition and the Disc. I'm not really sure exactly what this one is. What does it remind you of? I think of maybe like a city or some buildings, but you can imagine it to be what you want it to be. That's what's really neat about Cubism. Sometimes you'll have pictures that are just a bunch of geometric shapes, and it could be abstract as it is, or maybe it'll resemble a picture. I think this one right here is probably the most abstract, where it's really hard to tell what it is. Speaking of that, we are going to start the drawing pretty soon, and I'm going to show you how to create your own abstract picture using geometric shapes in this style. So, if you remember, I said the word cube, and I would explain that to maybe help you understand what cubism is. Why don't I draw a cube for you? I'm going to go ahead and draw a cube so you can see what it looks like. And then maybe you'll really understand what cubism is. It'll be easier for you to see. Now, this is just kind of a sketch with markers, and it's kind of bumpy. because of my wall. Okay, let me just kind of... All right, so there's an example of a cube. Now, watch what happens. Now, this is not a real cube, right? It's a 3D shape, the perspective of a cube. Watch what happens when I cut it in half. I'm going to cut it diagonally. Okay? Now, while I'm pretending I cut it in half, you could say making segments, pieces, whatever. Now watch. I'm going to color this in. What happened to part of this cube when I colored it in? Do you see that? That's a triangle. Now look at the other half. There's another what? Another triangle. Now, did anything happen when I sliced it? Well, now you can see what? 2 rhombuses. You can actually see 2 shapes. So now I'm going to slice these in half. I'm going to go across this way, and maybe I'll go diagonal that way. So I just cut these 2 in half. Now look, what did I just get? Another triangle. Well, let's go across and see. Another triangle. Wow, pretty neat, huh? So now let's look at this one. I'm not gonna, let's draw some stripes maybe. That's not a triangle, but it's a very odd angle, huh? And it almost looks like a trapezoid. So what happens whenever I slice or segment a cube? Very good. You see shapes and angles. Does that make sense now? Because that's what we see in here. So you can have a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and start our cubism drawing so you can make lots of angles today. But I'm going to show you your supplies first. You are going to need 1 white sheet of paper. A regular sheet of copy paper is fine. And if you don't have that, you can use recycled paper, any color really, newspaper, whatever. Just some type of light paper. You're also going to need 1 pencil, 1 eraser, and 1 ruler. If you don't have a ruler at home, you can just use the hard edge of like maybe a book or something, okay? Something that has a straight edge and it's sturdy. So I'm using a ruler. And lastly, you're going to need markers. Now, if you don't have markers, you can use crayons, which are fine. I just want to use markers today because I'm in the mood for something really bright, and markers are very easy to color bright with. You don't have to press hard at all. So if you're watching me on video, then go ahead and pause the video, get your supplies, and I will be here when you get back. So now we can make your art. First, let's start drawing our lines using a ruler. So we're going to use straight lines, and we're going to draw them going in different directions. And you can put your ruler anywhere as you want. I'm just going to start. Hold your ruler down, and go across like that. Can you see that? Okay, so every time we draw with a ruler, if we trace the top, we're going to want to trace the bottom as well. So try to keep it still, and if it moves, just move it back. Okay? So I'm keeping my hands on it. It moves, move it back. Now, so we're going to trace the ruler in different directions, okay? So let's just keep going. Just pick a spot. I'm picking here. Maybe you can pick a spot up here. So if you trace one side of the ruler, trace the other side to where it touches that line. See that? I can go this way. We're just going to put our ruler going horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. Diagonal lines can go any way. So you're just putting your ruler in different directions, and basically, remember how I told you we sliced the cube in half? We're slicing your rectangular shaped paper. I don't know, you're gonna just play around with it. Put your ruler where you think it looks cool. So I'm going to trace from the edge of my paper here all the way down to this line. Then I'm going to put my pencil on this line here and trace it along this edge. So you're getting good practice on how to hold a ruler today, how to trace, and that's what your eraser is for. If you feel like you mess up, you can always erase. Now, if I put my ruler this way, what's going to happen? I'm going to have two, what kind of lines? Parallel, very good. I don't want parallel. You can, maybe you do. I don't, so I'm just going to turn it, put my pencil on the edge of my paper, trace. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. See that? And I guess we want to make about 10 shapes maybe. Let's see, or angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 angles. Let's keep going. I want something to go up and down at almost a vertical line, but maybe a slight angle. So you can just be creative and come up with your own designs of straight lines so you can make angles. If you trace one side of the ruler, trace the other. Now I'm stopping, but you can keep going if you want. Why not? We can crisscross and we'll just get creative with how we color that. So if you go over a line, that's fine. This can be something else. All right, let's see. I'm just going to keep playing around with my ruler. I'm going to purposely crisscross. Why not? Let's just overlap. See, it moved a little bit, so I'm going to take my eraser and move it back. And I'm drawing on the wall so you can see. I'm sure you're sitting down. It's a lot easier, so my ruler just wants to keep sliding. All right, I'm going to put it back, and there we go. So far, so good. So I crisscrossed here and here. We can do that a couple times if you like that. Let's see. So keep playing around with some line designs. I'm not going to crisscross. I'm just going to do a few crisscrosses. And when I say crisscross, I mean go over something that we already did. So I have some small ones, medium. I'm going to do some more. About 10 big spaces is what we want. So remember, if you trace the ruler on one side, you have to trace it also on the other side. Very good. I think I might put one here, and maybe I'll crisscross again. 1 and 2, and I stop at the last line. Could I make another one? Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 spaces. That looks pretty cool. I can keep going and make smaller spaces, or I could leave it. I kind of like it, but I don't know. I feel like I need to go all the way. I need to crisscross all the way here, and I want to, I'm just getting creative, bring mine down here. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I really like my straight lines. I like all my angles. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 angles. So about around 10 angles. Now, this is a really good triangle, right? But remember, you might not always see a triangle. You might see some odd shapes. So I'm very happy with this. Now, if I'm going too fast and you're watching the video, you can always pause it and I'll be here when you get back. I'm finished with the drawing, so now I'm going to start coloring in these lines. Okay, so now it's time to color. I am in the mood for green. I don't know why, but basically what we're going to do is just color all of this in, the whole picture. Now you might notice that my picture gets a little bumpy, That's because my wall is bumpy. So hopefully you have a smooth surface. So here's, I think I'm gonna focus on my rectangle strips first. The ones that we made with the ruler. You don't have to, you can just start coloring. I need another green. You can start coloring your triangles first if you want. Now I'm using markers, but if you didn't have markers, you can use crayons or colored pencils even. The markers make it easy. The ink glides on for you. I like the green pattern. I think I'm gonna keep going with green. So once you get a color, maybe stick with it and you can make patterns and repeat. That's one thing that I noticed in the Cubism pieces of art that I showed you. A lot of the colors repeated. So if you choose one color like green, maybe put it, you know, in five areas, 5 or 6 areas in your picture. I'm gonna switch colors now. I might go back to it, I'm not sure. I might use it again later. Let's see, I am going to color pink now. Now, you see how we have some overlapping? You just choose where you want it to go. I want it to go this way, so. Just color in your shapes however you feel like they should be. We're just gonna get creative and let's just see how it comes out. I want this one to be pink too. So you can make some decisions, some creative choices here. You see that? And that's the neat thing. I'm glad we overlapped some of our lines with a ruler because then we have more options, and I'll show you what I mean. You can also trace, so you can get like a double exposed effect. I'll show you. Let me do one more pink section. Now I could color this little bitty angle of the rectangle if I wanted to. What if I split it in half? Instead of coloring the whole thing, what if I left this alone and just colored this? You see how many choices we have now? I could even trace this, but instead of coloring in the rectangle, see, that was made by the ruler. I could leave that alone and then just color the top and the bottom. So we can get really creative. You're gonna have a nice piece of abstract artwork in the style of Cubism. That looks pretty neat. I think I'm gonna go on to a new color. Let's see. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna have one more section pink. I'm not really sure why I'm choosing this color. I'm picking whatever feels right at the time. So you don't have to choose pink. You don't have to choose green. All right, I'm switching colors. Now I want to move to a brown. I feel like coloring, I don't know why, but I just want to color my triangles now. And I could always come back to my rectangles later. Yeah, that looks neat. Let's see, where else? I'm gonna color this. You notice the shape appearing here? We have what? Very good, a rhombus here. And then I just colored pretty close to a triangle there. And I think I'm going to color this shape here, this angle. I hope you're enjoying having choices of where to put your colors. And I think orange. is where I want to go next. I want this. Now, look, I could overlap, you see? I could trace over it. So it looks like the orange is going under and on top of the pink, you see? Now, if you like to color and draw and be creative and be able to make choices, you're really gonna like this project, I think. I'm gonna keep going with orange. I wanna color this shape here. I'm just putting the colors where it feels right, where they feel like they need to go. So I colored one of my rectangles orange, so now I'm gonna keep coloring more rectangles orange. So I have pink rectangles, green rectangles, now I have what? Orange rectangles. So I guess I'm kind of making a pattern with my shapes as well. And then I colored some brown triangles. Okay, so I'm looking at this, I want to finish this part. I'm going to continue this idea of a pink rectangle. Yep. And I think I'm going to go back to my brown and maybe add some more brown shapes. Since I had colored my shapes brown, I'm gonna stay out of the rectangles pretty much and kind of stick to some sort of pattern. So I guess I'm kind of looking at the rectangular shapes made from the ruler, separate from the shapes made in between, a little bit. All right, and I think I'm gonna color, I like this here. I want to color this brown and that. And my marker is starting to run out. I bet your picture is coming out nice. I'm sure you have lots of good patterns of colors within your rectangles and within your triangles and other shapes. I'm not really sure. I think I need, you know what? I decided I'm going to continue the orange here as well. I'm going to continue my orange rectangle going across. So as I'm working on my picture, you were working on yours. Now look at that. It's overlapping, you see? So I traced it on top. Yep, I'm going to finish coloring this. So now all of my rectangles are colored and I have a few shapes. I have a few shapes left. I'm not really sure. I think I might want to put one more brown. One more and it just will, it'll seem right. Like I'm repeating colors within shapes so I have a pattern. And now I want to balance out my pattern. And I think that'll do it. So now I just need to decide what colors to do next. I think one more color. How about purple? I think that would look cool. Yep, I think I might even stick with purple. I don't really want to add too many other colors. Now, if you want, you could add the colors of a rainbow. Yep, each shape, I think I'm gonna add purple. I would like to add another green, maybe, but I don't have any more rectangles. So I'm just gonna stick with my patterns. You know, my rectangles, I have green, orange, and pink. And then everything else is just gonna be angles, whether it's triangles or other shapes, like I think we had some rhombuses. This is coming out good. We are almost finished. I never realized how bumpy my wall was. I could see all the bumps in my picture, but I can always go back and smooth that out later. So I am almost finished. Hopefully you are too. Now again, if I'm going too fast, all you have to do if you're watching a video is to pause it. And if you're not watching me by video and you're watching me on TV, on the television, then you can just continue to color and just see what you get. You really can't make any wrong choices. You're repeating colors within your shapes. And we made shapes with lines. Okay, I am finished. I think it came out great. It has lots of colorful angles, and it looks very similar to some of the colorful pieces of artwork that I showed you in the style of Cubism. I hope you enjoyed making this with me today, and I bet you your art came out great too. We will be posting a new lesson every day at 10 a.m. on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel for kindergarten, first and second grades, each tied into the academic curriculum. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program, accessible on Cox Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. Kindergarten lessons air at 8 a.m. and first and second grade lessons air at 9 a.m. Some lessons will be in visual arts and some will be in creative movement. So be sure to come back and make art with us tomorrow. If you are interested in supporting programs like this, visit the Acadiana Center for the Arts.org, the nonprofit organization who manages this PACE program. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art. Do you want more? Well, if so, you can book me for a private online lesson. My email is in the description box below. Thank you and have a great day.